I never thought a cup of coffee could ruin my life. It started simple, innocent. The kind of thing that makes you believe in humanity again when you spend most of your days surrounded by people who want something from you. Agents pitching endorsement deals, teammates jealous of your contract, reporters twisting your words into tomorrow's headline. In this world, genuine kindness feels like finding water in a desert. Her name was Sophie. She first appeared on a cold Tuesday morning in October, right outside the player parking lot at the Denver Titans training facility. I was running late, still half asleep, my mind already on the 2-hour practice session ahead. Coach Reynolds had been on my case all week about my defensive rotations, and I knew today would be another round of his signature screaming sessions. That is when I saw her. She was standing by the security gate, holding a paper bag and a coffee cup. Mid-20s, maybe. Brown hair pulled back in a ponytail, wearing a Titans hoodie that looked 2 sizes too big. She had this nervous energy about her, like she was debating whether to stay or run. When I pulled up in my Range Rover, she took a step forward, then hesitated. I rolled down the window. The November air hit my face, sharp and cold. "Hi," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "I am sorry to bother you. I just wanted to give you this." She held out the coffee cup and the bag. "I know you have practice, and I thought you might want some breakfast." I stared at her for a moment, trying to figure out the angle. Was she a reporter? A stalker? Someone trying to serve me papers? You learn to be paranoid in this business. Everyone wants something, but her eyes were different. Clear, honest, a little scared even. "That is really kind of you," I said slowly. "But I cannot just take food from someone I do not know. No offense." She nodded quickly like she expected that. "I understand. I am Sophie. I work at the bakery on Alameda Avenue, 2 blocks from here. I make fresh sandwiches every morning. This one is turkey and avocado on whole wheat. The coffee is black, no sugar. I have seen your interviews where you talk about your diet." She smiled, shy and genuine. "I promise I am not trying to poison you or anything weird. I just admire what you do. You inspire people." Something about the way she said it got to me. Not the usual fan worship or desperate attention-seeking, just simple appreciation. Like she saw me as a person, not a product. "Turkey and avocado, huh?" I said, taking the bag and coffee through the window. "That is actually exactly what I eat." Her smile widened. "I know. I pay attention." "Well, thank you, Sophie. That is incredibly thoughtful." "You are welcome, Marcus." She took a step back. "Good luck at practice." And then she left. No selfie request, no autograph, no lingering or asking for my number. She just walked away, back toward the street, her hands in her hoodie pockets. I sat there for a moment, watching her disappear around the corner. Then I looked at the coffee cup, written on the side in neat handwriting. "Have a great day, Marcus. You got this." I took a sip. Perfect temperature. Strong, but not bitter. Inside the bag was a sandwich wrapped in parchment paper, cut diagonally with a small napkin and a pack of almonds. Everything about it felt personal, thoughtful. For the first time in months, I felt seen. Practice that day was brutal, but I played like I was on fire. Coach Reynolds even pulled me aside afterward and said, "Whatever you had for breakfast, keep eating it." If only he knew. The next morning, Sophie was there again. Same spot, same shy smile. This time she had a breakfast burrito and a green smoothie. "I thought you might want to switch it up," she said. I laughed. "You are going to spoil me." That is the idea. It became our routine. Every single morning, Monday through Saturday, Sophie would be waiting by the gate with something different. A bagel with cream cheese, oatmeal with berries, egg whites and spinach. She never asked for anything in return, never tried to start a long conversation, just handed me the food, wished me luck, and disappeared. After a few weeks, I started looking forward to it. Not just the food, but the moment. That brief exchange where I did not have to be Marcus Kane, the point guard averaging 28 points a game. I could just be a guy getting breakfast from someone who cared. I started talking to her a little more, asked her about the bakery, about her life. She told me she had moved to Denver 3 years ago from Ohio. She loved baking. She lived alone with her dog, a golden retriever named Benny. She did not ask about my career, my stats, my contract. She asked me how I slept, if my knee was feeling better after that hard foul in the Phoenix game, if I was eating enough vegetables. It was strange, comforting, real. By December, I found myself telling her things I did not tell anyone else, about how lonely it gets being at the top, how I missed my mom, who still lived in Baltimore and could not travel much because of her health, how I felt like I was always performing, always under a microscope, never allowed to just be human. Sophie listened. She did not try to fix anything. She just nodded, handed me my coffee, and said, "You are doing better than you think, Marcus." I started to believe her. One morning in late January, I got to the facility early. Sophie was already there, sitting on the curb, her hands wrapped around a thermos. It had snowed the night before, and everything was covered in a white blanket of silence. "You are here early," I said, pulling up next to her. She stood, brushing snow off her jeans. I wanted to make sure the coffee stayed hot. I got out of the car, something I had never done before. Usually I just took the food through the window and drove in, but today felt different. "Sophie," I said, "you do not have to do this every day. I mean, I appreciate it more than you know, but this is a lot of effort." She looked at me, her cheeks pink from the cold. "It is not effort when it matters, Marcus. You matter." Something in my chest tightened. I did not know how to respond to that, so I just said, "Thank you." She handed me a blueberry muffin and a cappuccino. I added a little cinnamon. "I think you will like it." I did. That was the last normal morning we had, because on March 12th, everything changed. I pulled into the parking lot at 7:15, same as always. But this time, Sophie was not alone. There were 4 men standing behind her, huge, intimidating, dressed in black suits and sunglasses. They looked like Secret Service agents. Next to them were 2 people in sharp business attire, a man and a woman, both carrying leather briefcases. Sophie was standing in front, but she was not smiling. She looked cold, distant. Her arms were crossed. I stopped the car, my heart suddenly pounding. One of the suited men stepped forward and knocked on my window. I rolled it down slowly. "What is going on?" The man did not answer. Instead, the woman with the briefcase approached and handed me a manila envelope through the window. "Marcus Kane," she said, her voice flat and professional. "You have been served." "Served?" I repeated, confused. "Served what?" "A cease and desist order and a formal complaint filed by our client, Sophie Renner, for harassment, emotional manipulation, and breach of verbal contract." I looked past her at Sophie. She was staring at the ground. "Sophie," I said, my voice breaking. "What is this?" She did not look up. The lawyer continued. "Our client has documented months of unsolicited contact, inappropriate behavior, and promises made by you that were never fulfilled. We are prepared to take this matter to court unless a settlement is reached. The details are in the envelope." I felt like I had been punched in the stomach. This is insane. I never harassed her. She came to me. Every single day, she came to me. "That is not how our client remembers it," the male lawyer said coldly. One of the bodyguards stepped closer, his hand resting on his belt. "We suggest you contact your attorney, Mr. Kane." I looked at Sophie one more time. "Why are you doing this?" She finally looked up. Her eyes were hard, empty. "You owe me, Marcus," she said quietly, "and I am collecting." Then she turned and walked away, flanked by her bodyguards and lawyers, leaving me sitting there with a lawsuit in my hand and my world crumbling around me. I did not go to practice that day. I sat in my car, staring at the envelope, trying to understand how something so pure had turned into something so poisonous. That was the moment I realized the truth. In this world, even kindness has a price, and I was about to pay it. I called my agent first. Danny picked up on the second ring, his voice sharp and alert like always. "Marcus, what's up? You missed practice?" "I need a lawyer," I said, my voice hollow. "A good one." There was a pause. "What happened?" I told him everything. The envelope, the bodyguards, Sophie's cold eyes, the accusations that made no sense. Danny was silent for a long moment. Then he said, "Do not say another word to anyone. Not the press, not your teammates, not even your mother. I am calling Ben Carter right now. He is the best litigation attorney in Colorado. Sit tight." He hung up. I sat in my car for another 20 minutes, watching players and coaches filter into the facility. A few of them glanced at my car, probably wondering why I was just sitting there. My phone buzzed with texts from Coach Reynolds, from teammates, from the PR department. I ignored all of them. Finally, I drove home. My penthouse overlooked downtown Denver, all glass and steel and empty space. I had bought it 2 years ago, right after signing my max contract. At the time, it felt like a symbol of success. Now it just felt cold. I threw the envelope on the kitchen counter and poured myself a glass of water. My hands were shaking. I opened the envelope. Inside were 15 pages of legal documents. The language was dense, clinical, designed to intimidate. But the accusations were clear enough. Sophie claimed that I had initiated contact with her, that I had pursued her romantically, that I had made promises about helping her career, about introducing her to investors for her bakery business, about taking care of her financially. She said I manipulated her emotions, made her believe we had a future together, and then abandoned her when I got what I wanted. What I wanted? I never wanted anything from her except a cup of coffee. The document included dates, times, alleged conversations. It painted me as a predator who used his fame and wealth to exploit a vulnerable young woman. It was a complete fabrication, but it was detailed, convincing. The kind of story that would destroy me if it went public. At the bottom of the complaint was a settlement demand, $4.2 million. I laughed, not because it was funny, but because it was so absurd that laughter was the only response my brain could produce. $4.2 million for bringing me breakfast. My phone buzzed. A text from Danny. Ben Carter will meet you at his office at 3. Address below. Do not be late. I looked at the clock. It was 11:30. I had 3.5 hours to process the fact that my life was being dismantled by someone I thought was a friend. I spent those hours replaying every interaction with Sophie in my mind, searching for the moment I missed, the sign that she was not who she seemed. But there was nothing. Every memory was the same. Her standing by the gate, smiling, handing me food, wishing me well. How could I have been so blind? At 2:30, I put on a suit and drove to Ben Carter's office in the financial district. The building was all marble and glass, the kind of place where power lived. I took the elevator to the 14th floor and checked in with the receptionist, a woman with silver hair and a kind smile. "Mr. Kane," she said warmly. "Mr. Carter is expecting you. Follow me." She led me down a long hallway lined with framed diplomas and photographs of Ben shaking hands with governors, judges, professional athletes. The man had defended everyone, celebrities accused of assault, CEOs accused of fraud, athletes accused of worse. If anyone could save me, it was him. The receptionist opened a door to a corner office with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. Ben Carter stood behind a massive desk reviewing papers. He was in his early 50s, tall and lean, with gray hair and sharp blue eyes. He looked like someone who had never lost a fight in his life. "Marcus," he said, extending his hand. His grip was firm, confident. "Have a seat." I sat down in one of the leather chairs across from his desk. The receptionist closed the door behind me. Ben sat down and folded his hands. "Danny sent me the complaint. I have read it twice. Tell me your side." I told him everything. From the first morning Sophie appeared, to the routine we built, to the conversations we had. I told him I never asked her to come, never made promises, never touched her, never even had her phone number. Ben listened without interrupting. When I finished, he leaned back in his chair and studied me. "Do you have any texts, emails, or recorded conversations with her?" he asked. "No. We never communicated outside of those morning meetings. She never gave me her number. I never asked for it." Did anyone else witness these interactions? Security guards at the facility, maybe some teammates driving in, but it was always brief. 30 seconds, maybe a minute. Ben nodded slowly. "That is good and bad. Good because there is no digital trail she can manipulate. Bad because it is your word against hers, and juries love a sympathetic victim." "I am the victim here," I said, my voice rising. "She is the one lying." "I believe you," Ben said calmly, "but belief is not evidence. We need to prove she is lying, and to do that, we need to investigate her." Investigate her? Her background, her finances, her social media, her past relationships. If she has done this before, we will find it. People who run scams do not just wake up one day and decide to start. They have a history. I felt a flicker of hope. You think she has done this to other people? I think it is very possible. The level of detail in her complaint, the coordination with attorneys and bodyguards, the specific settlement amount, it all suggests planning. This was not a spur-of-the-moment decision. She has been building this case for months. The weight of that hit me. So every morning, every smile, every conversation, it was all part of the plan. Most likely. I felt sick. Ben leaned forward. "Marcus, I need you to prepare yourself for what is coming. If this goes public, the media will not wait for facts. They will run with her story. Your reputation will take a hit. Endorsements might pull out. Fans will turn on you. It is going to get ugly before it gets better." "Can we settle?" I asked. "Just pay her and make it go away?" "We could," Ben said, "but I do not recommend it. Settling sends a message that you are guilty. It emboldens her. And if she has done this before, she will do it again to someone else. We fight this. We expose her. And we win." I nodded. "Okay, What do we do first? First, we file a response denying all allegations. Then we start discovery. We subpoena her phone records, her financial records, her employment history. We find out who she really is. How long will this take? Months. Maybe a year. A year. A year of this hanging over my head. A year of people questioning whether I was the person they thought I was. Ben stood and walked to the window, his hands in his pockets. I have defended a lot of people in situations like this, Marcus. Athletes, actors, executives. And I have learned something important. The truth always comes out. It just takes time and courage. I have plenty of time, I said bitterly. I do not know if I have the courage. He turned and looked at me. You do. You just do not know it yet. I left Ben's office at 5 with a folder full of documents to sign and a list of instructions. Do not talk to anyone. Do not post on social media. Do not go near Sophie or her lawyers. Let Ben handle everything. On the drive home, I called my mother. She picked up on the first ring, her voice warm and familiar. Baby, I was just thinking about you. How are you? I had not planned to tell her, but the moment I heard her voice, I broke. Mom, I said, my voice cracking. Something bad happened. What is it? Are you hurt? No, not physically. I pulled over to the side of the road because my hands were shaking too much to drive. Someone is accusing me of something I did not do, and I do not know how to fix it. There was a long silence. Then she said, Marcus, listen to me. I raised you. I know your heart. Whatever this is, we will get through it. You hear me? I hear you. Now tell me everything. So I did. When I finished, she was quiet for a moment. Then she said, that girl is evil, and evil always reveals itself. You stay strong, baby. You stay strong and you trust the truth. What if the truth is not enough? Then you make it enough. You fight for your name. You fight for your peace, and you do not let anyone steal your joy. I wiped my eyes. I love you, Mom. I love you more. Now go home, get some rest, and tomorrow you get back to being Marcus Kane. The real one, not the one she is trying to create. I hung up and sat there for a while, watching the sun set over the mountains. My phone buzzed again. This time it was a text from an unknown number. I opened it. It was a photo of me and Sophie, taken from a distance but clear enough. We were standing by my car, talking. She was smiling. I was holding a coffee cup. Below the photo was a message. This is just the beginning. Pay up or the world sees everything. I stared at the screen, my blood turning cold. She was not just suing me, she was threatening me. And I realized this was not about money. It was about power, and she wanted to destroy me. I forwarded the threatening text to Ben Carter immediately. His response came within minutes. Do not respond, do not delete, screenshot everything. This is evidence of extortion. She just made a mistake. I wanted to believe him. But sitting alone in my penthouse that night, staring at that photo on my phone, I did not feel like she had made a mistake. I felt like she was 10 steps ahead of me, and I was just starting to realize I was in a game I never agreed to play. Sleep did not come easy. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw her face. Not the cold, distant version from that morning, but the smiling one. The one that handed me coffee and told me I mattered. I kept asking myself the same question over and over. How much of it was real? By 6 in the morning, I gave up on sleep. I made coffee, stood by the window watching the city wake up, and tried to figure out how to face the day. Coach Reynolds had already texted me twice asking where I was. The PR department wanted a meeting. My teammates were blowing up the group chat with questions. I ignored all of it. At 8, my doorbell rang. I checked the security camera and saw Ben Carter standing in the hallway, holding a briefcase and 2 cups of coffee. I opened the door. You did not have to come here. Yes, I did, he said, walking past me into the living room. He set the coffee on the counter and opened his briefcase. We need to talk about what happens next, and I did not want to do it over the phone. I sat down across from him. What did you find? Ben pulled out a file and placed it on the table. Sophie Renner, 26 years old, originally from Dayton, Ohio, moved to Denver 3 years ago, just like she told you. Works part-time at a bakery on Alameda Avenue. Clean credit, no criminal record. On the surface, she looks exactly like what she presented herself to be. On the surface, I repeated. Right. But when my investigator dug deeper, things started to get interesting. He opened the file and pulled out a printed page. 2 years ago, Sophie was involved in a civil lawsuit in Ohio. A local businessman named Richard Hartman accused her of the same thing, claiming he harassed her, manipulated her, made promises he never kept. He settled out of court for $250,000. I felt my stomach drop. She has done this before. She has. And that is not all. Ben pulled out another document. 4 years ago, when she was living in Indiana, she filed a restraining order against a college basketball coach named Derek Mills. She claimed he was stalking her, sending her inappropriate messages, showing up at her apartment. The restraining order was granted, but Mills fought back. Turns out Sophie had been sending herself messages from burner phones and creating fake social media accounts to make it look like Mills was obsessed with her. When the truth came out, the restraining order was dismissed. Mills considered suing her, but his attorney advised against it, said it would just bring more attention to the situation. I stared at the documents in disbelief. So she is a professional con artist. Not exactly. A con artist usually disappears after the score. Sophie sticks around. She builds relationships, establishes credibility, makes herself look like the victim. She is patient, methodical, and she knows how to pick her targets. What do you mean? Ben leaned back and crossed his arms. All of her targets have been men with money, status, and something to lose. Richard Hartman owned 3 car dealerships in Ohio. Derek Mills was a rising star in college basketball coaching. And now you, an NBA player with a max contract and a public image to protect. She is not just after money. She is after men who will pay to make the problem go away quietly. But I am not going to pay, I said. I know, and that is what makes this dangerous. She expected you to settle. When you did not, she escalated with that threatening text. Now she is playing a different game. What game? Public destruction. If she cannot get money from you quietly, she will try to force your hand by destroying your reputation. She will leak the story to the press, post on social media, maybe even do interviews. She will paint herself as the victim, and you as the villain. And once that narrative is out there, it is almost impossible to take back. I felt the walls closing in. So what do? We stay ahead of her. My investigator is tracking down Richard Hartman and Derek Mills. If we can get them to testify about what she did to them, it establishes a pattern. We also need to get security footage from the Titans facility. Every morning you interacted with her, there were cameras. That footage will show she approached you, not the other way around. What about the text? The one with the photo? That is our strongest piece of evidence. Extortion is a crime. If we can prove she sent it, and I believe we can, it undermines her entire case. But we need more. We need to find out who is funding her legal team. Funding her? Ben nodded. Those attorneys she showed up with? They are not cheap. Top-tier litigation lawyers in Denver charge $500 to $1,000 an hour. Sophie works part-time at a bakery. There is no way she is paying for this herself. Someone is backing her, someone with deep pockets and a reason to want you taken down. That had not even occurred to me. Who would want to do that? Could be a rival team trying to distract you. Could be someone with a personal grudge. Could be an investor betting against your performance. We do not know yet, but we will find out. I rubbed my face with my hands. This was so much bigger than I thought. Ben stood and closed his briefcase. I know this feels overwhelming, Marcus, but we are building a strong case. In the meantime, you need to keep living your life. Go to practice. Play your games. Do not let her see that she is getting to you. How am I supposed to do that? By remembering who you are. You are not the person she is trying to make you out to be. You are a good man who got caught in a trap, and we are going to get you out of it. After Ben left, I sat on my couch for a long time, staring at the file he had left behind. Sophie's face stared back at me from a printed photo, a mugshot-style image from some database. She looked different in it, harder, like the mask had slipped. I thought about all the mornings we spent together, the conversations, the smiles, the way she made me feel seen. It was all a lie. Around noon, I forced myself to go to the facility. I was 3 hours late, and I knew Coach Reynolds was going to lose his mind. But I needed to do something normal, something that reminded me I was still a basketball player, not just a defendant in a lawsuit. When I walked into the locker room, the chatter stopped. My teammates looked at me, then looked away. It was the kind of silence that said they knew something was wrong, but nobody wanted to ask. Except for Darius Mitchell, our power forward and my closest friend on the team. He walked over and clapped me on the shoulder. "You good, man?" "No," I said honestly, "but I am here." He nodded. "That is all that matters." Coach Reynolds called me into his office before practice. He was sitting behind his desk, arms crossed, his face set in that hard expression he used when he was about to rip into someone. But when I sat down, he did not yell. He just looked at me and said, "What is going on, Marcus?" I told him the basics. Not everything, but enough. A woman I thought was a friend was now accusing me of things I did not do. I was working with a lawyer to clear my name. I needed the team to trust me. Coach was quiet for a long moment. Then he said, I have been coaching for 30 years, Marcus. I have seen players deal with injuries, slumps, personal tragedies, legal trouble, you name it. And the ones who make it through are the ones who keep showing up. So you show up, you play, you fight, and you let the lawyers handle the rest. Yes, sir. And Marcus? He leaned forward. I have known you for 3 years. I know your character. Whatever this is, I believe you. I felt something crack open in my chest. Thank you, coach. Practice was brutal, but in a good way. It gave me something to focus on besides the lawsuit. For 2 hours, I was just a point guard running plays, hitting shots, defending my man. For 2 hours, I was not a victim or a target. I was just Marcus. After practice, I checked my phone. There was a missed call from Ben and a voicemail. I listened to it in my car. Marcus, it is Ben. I just got off the phone with Richard Hartman, the businessman from Ohio. He is willing to testify. He said Sophie ruined his marriage, his business reputation, and cost him $250,000. He wants to help take her down. Call me back. I sat there, staring at the dashboard, feeling the first real flicker of hope I had felt in days. We had a witness, someone who could prove Sophie had done this before. For the first time since that envelope landed in my hands, I believed we might actually win. But that night, everything changed again. At 10 p.m., my phone exploded with notifications. Texts from teammates, calls from Danny, alerts from social media. I opened Twitter and saw it immediately. Sophie had posted a thread. The first tweet was a photo of us together. Me smiling, her handing me a coffee. The caption read, For months I brought Marcus Kane breakfast because I believed in him. I thought he was different. I thought he cared. I was wrong. The next tweet, he made promises. He made me believe we had a future. And when I asked him to keep his word, he threatened me. He sicked his lawyers on me. He tried to silence me. But I will not be silenced. The thread went on. 10 tweets. Each one more damaging than the last. Each one painting me as a manipulator, a liar, a predator. Within an hour, it had 50,000 retweets. Within 2 hours, it was trending nationally. By morning, my name was everywhere, and Sophie Renner was the most sympathetic victim in America. I called Ben at midnight. I saw it, he said before I could speak. Do not respond. Do not engage. Let me handle this. How? I asked, my voice raw. How do we fight this? We tell the truth, he said, louder than she tells her lies. But as I sat there in the dark, watching my reputation burn in real time, I was not sure the truth was loud enough. The next 72 hours were a nightmare. Sophie's Twitter thread went viral. Sports blogs picked it up. National news outlets ran segments. Talking heads debated whether I was guilty. Fans who had cheered for me just days ago were now calling me a predator, a manipulator, a disgrace to the game. My mentions were flooded with hate. People I had never met were declaring me guilty without evidence, without trial, without question. The court of public opinion had already made its verdict, and I was losing. The Titans organization released a statement saying they were aware of the allegations and were monitoring the situation closely. Translation, they were distancing themselves in case I became too toxic to keep around. 2 of my endorsement deals were put on hold pending the outcome of the investigation. My jersey sales dropped. Fans started booing me during warm-ups. I was being erased in real time. But Ben Carter did not flinch. On the 3rd day after Sophie's thread went viral, he called a press conference. He did not ask me if I was ready. He just told me to show up at his office at 2 p.m. wearing a suit and to trust him. When I arrived, the conference room was packed with reporters, cameras, microphones. The energy was hostile. I could feel it the moment I walked in. These people were not here to listen. They were here to watch me fall. Ben stood at a podium in front of a projector screen. He was calm, composed, radiating the kind of quiet confidence that comes from knowing you hold all the cards. I sat at a table off to the side, my hands folded, my face neutral. Inside, I was falling apart. Ben cleared his throat and began. Good afternoon. My name is Ben Carter, and I represent Marcus Kane. We are here today to address the false allegations made by Sophie Renner and to present evidence that will conclusively prove my client's innocence. The room erupted with shouted questions. Ben raised a hand, and the noise died down. I will not be taking questions until I have finished presenting the facts. What you are about to see is the result of a thorough investigation conducted over the past week. This investigation has uncovered a pattern of behavior by Miss Renner that reveals her true intentions. He clicked a button, and the screen behind him lit up with a photo. It was a mugshot of Sophie from 6 years ago. She looked younger, but it was unmistakably her. This is Sophie Renner, arrested in 2019 in Fort Wayne, Indiana for filing a false police report. She claimed a local business owner had assaulted her. The charges were later dropped when security footage proved she had fabricated the entire incident. The room went silent. Ben clicked again. Another document appeared. A court filing. In 2022, Miss Renner was involved in a civil lawsuit in Dayton, Ohio. A businessman named Richard Hartman accused her of extortion after she claimed he had sexually harassed her and made promises he never kept. Sound familiar? Mr. Hartman settled for $250,000 to avoid a public trial, but he has now come forward and agreed to testify that Miss Renner fabricated the entire story to extort money from him. Another click. This time, a video began to play. It was security footage from the Titans training facility. Black and white, grainy, but clear enough. The timestamp showed a date from 4 months ago. In the video, Sophie was standing by the security gate, waiting. My car pulled up. She approached. She handed me something through the window. I took it. We exchanged a few words. Then she walked away. I never got out of the car. I never touched her. I never followed her. The interaction lasted 37 seconds. Ben played another clip. Same location, different date, same interaction. Sophie approached me. I took the coffee. She left. He played 5 more clips. Every single one showed the same pattern. She came to me. I did not pursue her. I did not ask her to be there. I simply accepted what she offered and moved on with my day. These videos cover a span of 4 months, Ben said. In every single instance, Miss Renner initiated contact. In every single instance, my client's interaction with her lasted less than 1 minute. At no point did he ask for her phone number, invite her anywhere, make promises, or engage in any behavior that could be construed as harassment or manipulation. He clicked again, and a screenshot of a text message appeared on the screen. It was the photo Sophie had sent me, the one with the threatening message, "This is just the beginning. Pay up, or the world sees everything." This text was sent to my client 3 days ago from a number registered to Miss Renner. This is textbook extortion. She is not a victim. She is a criminal. The room exploded again, but this time the energy was different. Reporters were furiously typing. Cameras were flashing. The narrative was shifting. Ben let the chaos settle before continuing. We have also discovered that Miss Renner's legal team is being funded by an anonymous third party. We are currently investigating who that party is and what their motivations might be. But what is clear is that this is not a case of a vulnerable young woman seeking justice. This is a calculated attack designed to extort money and destroy my client's reputation. He turned to face the cameras directly. Marcus Kane is not perfect. He is a human being, but he is not a predator. He is not a manipulator. He is a man who showed basic human decency to someone he believed was being kind, and that kindness was weaponized against him. We will be filing a countersuit against Miss Renner for defamation, extortion, and intentional infliction of emotional distress, and we will win. Ben stepped back from the podium and gestured to me. Marcus would like to say a few words. I stood and walked to the podium. My legs felt weak, but I forced myself to stand tall. I looked into the cameras and spoke. For the past week, I have been called a liar, a predator, and worse. I have watched my name be dragged through the mud by someone I thought was a friend. I have watched people who do not know me decide I am guilty without ever hearing my side of the story. My voice cracked, but I kept going. I am not asking for sympathy. I am asking for fairness. I am asking for people to wait for the truth before they destroy someone's life. Because the truth is simple. I did not do what she is accusing me of. I did not manipulate her. I did not make promises I did not keep. I accepted her kindness, and I am being punished for it. I paused, trying to steady my breathing. But I am not going to let this break me. I am going to keep playing. I am going to keep fighting. And I am going to clear my name, not just for me, but for every person who has ever been falsely accused. Thank you. I stepped back from the podium. The room erupted with shouted questions, but Ben guided me out a side door before I had to answer any of them. In the hallway, away from the cameras, I leaned against the wall and exhaled. You did good, Ben said. Did it work? I asked. We will find out. Within hours, the tide began to turn. Social media exploded again, but this time in my favor. The security footage went viral. People who had condemned me days ago were now apologizing. Journalists who had written hit pieces were issuing corrections. Sophie's original thread was being ratioed into oblivion. Someone created a hashtag, Justice for Marcus. It trended for 2 days. Richard Hartman gave an interview to a national news outlet detailing how Sophie had destroyed his life with false accusations. He showed receipts, text messages, court documents. He corroborated everything Ben had said. Derek Mills, the college basketball coach from Indiana, came forward too. He told his story, how Sophie had nearly ruined his career, how he had been too afraid to fight back because he thought no one would believe him. Now, people were listening. Sophie went silent. Her social media accounts were deleted. Her lawyers issued a brief statement saying they were reviewing the new evidence, but everyone knew what that meant. She was retreating. On the 5th day after the press conference, Ben called me. "We got her," he said. "What do you mean?" "Her legal team just contacted me. They want to settle. They are dropping the lawsuit and agreeing to a public apology in exchange for us not pursuing criminal charges for extortion." I sat down, my head spinning. "What about the countersuit? We can still pursue it if you want. But Marcus, I will be honest with you. Litigation is expensive, exhausting, and there is no guarantee we will collect even if we win. She does not have money. The people funding her might, but that will take years to untangle. So she just walks away?" "Not exactly. We are requiring her to issue a public statement admitting she fabricated the allegations. We are also requiring her to reimburse you for legal fees. It is not perfect, but it is a win." I thought about it. Part of me wanted to destroy her the way she tried to destroy me, but another part of me just wanted it to be over. "Take the deal," I said. "You sure?" "Yeah. I just want my life back." 2 days later, Sophie Renner released a statement. It was short, sterile, clearly written by lawyers. But the words were there. "I acknowledge that my allegations against Marcus Kane were false. I apologize for any harm caused." It was not enough. It would never be enough. But it was something. The Titans welcomed me back with open arms. My endorsements were reinstated. Fans started cheering again. Slowly, piece by piece, my life came back together. But I was not the same person I had been before. I was harder now, more guarded. I did not trust kindness anymore. Every interaction felt like a potential trap. One morning, a few weeks later, I was pulling into the facility when I saw someone standing by the gate. My stomach dropped. But it was not Sophie. It was a kid, maybe 10 years old, holding a poster board with my name on it. I rolled down my window. "Hi, Mr. Kane," the kid said, his voice nervous. "I just wanted to say I believe in you, and I am sorry people were mean to you." I stared at him for a long moment. Then I smiled. "Thank you, kid. That means a lot." He grinned and ran off, and for the first time in weeks, I felt something I thought I had lost: hope. 3 months after Sophie's public apology, I was sitting in my mother's living room in Baltimore, drinking sweet tea and watching her fuss over the garden through the window. She had flown out to Denver twice during the worst of it, refusing to let me go through it alone. Now I was the one visiting her, taking a week off during the All-Star break to remember what peace felt like. "You look better," she said, settling into the chair across from me. "Still too skinny, but better." I smiled. "I am eating, Mom. Promise." "Eating what?" "Those protein shakes do not count as food. I had a real breakfast this morning. Eggs, toast, the whole thing." She nodded, satisfied. "Good. You need to take care of yourself, baby, not just your body. Your heart, too." I looked down at my glass. "I am trying." She reached over and squeezed my hand. "I know you are, but you have been carrying this weight around like it is yours to hold forever. It is not. That girl tried to break you and she failed. You are still here. You are still standing. That is what matters." "I just keep thinking about how stupid I was," I said. "How I let her get that close. How I did not see it coming." "You were not stupid. You were human. You saw someone being kind and you believed them. That is not a weakness, Marcus. That is who you are. Do not let her take that away from you." I wanted to believe her. But every time someone approached me now, every time a stranger smiled or said something nice, I felt my guard go up. I analyzed every word, every gesture, looking for the angle. Sophie had not just tried to destroy my career. She had tried to destroy my ability to trust. "What if I cannot get it back?" I asked quietly. "What if I am just broken now?" My mother shook her head. "You are not broken. You are healing, and healing takes time. But you will get there. I promise you will." I stayed in Baltimore for 5 days. I went to my old high school and talked to the basketball team. I visited the rec center where I learned to play. I sat on my mother's porch and watched the neighborhood kids play in the street, their laughter rising into the summer air. It reminded me why I started playing in the first place. Not for the money or the fame or the endorsements, but for the love of the game. For the feeling of the ball in my hands, the sound of the net swishing, the pure joy of doing something I was good at. Somewhere along the way, I had forgotten that. When I got back to Denver, I called Ben Carter. "How are you holding up?" he asked. "Better," I said. "I wanted to thank you for everything. You saved my life. I just did my job." "No, you did more than that. You believed me when no one else did." There was a pause. Then Ben said, "You made it easy to believe, Marcus. You told the truth, and you stood by it. That is rare." "Whatever happened with the investigation?" I asked. "Did you ever find out who was funding Sophie's lawyers?" Ben sighed. "We did. Turns out it was a sports betting syndicate. They had money on the Titans missing the playoffs. They figured if they could distract you, throw you off your game, it would hurt the team's performance. It was not personal. It was just business." I felt a cold anger settle in my chest. So, I was collateral damage. Essentially. But we reported it to the league and the FBI. They are investigating now. These people will face consequences. Good. Marcus, there is something else I need to tell you. What? Sophie skipped town. She left Denver 2 weeks ago. No forwarding address. No contact information. She is gone. I did not know how to feel about that. Part of me was relieved. Part of me was angry that she got to just disappear while I had to rebuild my life piece by piece. "Do you think she will do it again?" I asked. "To someone else?" "Probably," Ben said. "People like her do not change. They just find new targets. But now there is a record. If she tries this again, it will be easier to stop her." After I hung up, I sat on my couch for a long time, staring at nothing. Sophie was gone. The lawsuit was over. My reputation was mostly repaired. I should have felt relief, victory, closure, but I just felt empty. The Titans made the playoffs that year. We fought through the first round, barely scraping by in 7 games. In the second round, we faced the Phoenix Suns, the #1 seed in the West. No one gave us a chance, but we were hungry, and I was playing with something to prove. Game 1, I dropped 38 points. Game 2, 41. By Game 4, the media was calling it the best playoff performance of my career. We took the series in 6 games. In the Western Conference Finals, we faced the Lakers. It was a brutal series, physical and exhausting, but we clawed our way to Game 7. The night before the game, I could not sleep. I lay in my hotel room staring at the ceiling, thinking about everything that had happened over the past year. The lawsuit, the press conference, the hate, the redemption, all of it had led to this moment. The next night, I walked into the arena and felt the energy hit me like a wave. 20,000 people screaming, the lights blazing, the court gleaming under the spotlights. This was what I lived for. We played the best game of our lives. Every shot felt pure. Every pass was perfect. Every defensive stop was a statement. With 10 seconds left, we were up by 2. The Lakers had the ball. Their best player drove to the basket, but I stayed with him, my hand in his face, my body between him and the rim. He took the shot. It clanged off the rim. The buzzer sounded. We won. The arena exploded. My teammates mobbed me. Coach Reynolds was screaming something I could not hear over the noise. Confetti rained down from the rafters. We were going to the finals. In the locker room afterward, surrounded by champagne and chaos, I sat in my locker and closed my eyes. I thought about Sophie, about the mornings she handed me coffee, about the lawsuit, about the moment I thought my life was over. And I realized something. She did not break me. She tried. God knows she tried. But I was still here, still playing, still fighting. I had lost something in that ordeal. My innocence, maybe. My ability to trust blindly. But I had gained something too. Resilience, strength, the knowledge that I could survive the worst and still come out the other side. A reporter found me after the game and asked me how it felt to make the finals after everything I had been through. I thought about it for a moment. Then I said, "It feels like proof." Proof of what? That the truth always wins. It just takes time. We lost the finals in 6 games. It hurt, but it did not destroy me. There would be other seasons, other chances. A few weeks after the season ended, I was driving through downtown Denver when I saw a bakery I had never noticed before. On impulse, I pulled over and went inside. The place smelled like fresh bread and cinnamon. A woman behind the counter smiled at me. "What can I get you?" "Just a coffee," I said. "Black, no sugar." She poured it and handed it to me. You look familiar. Do I know you? Maybe, I said. I play basketball. Oh, that is cool. I do not really follow sports, but good for you. I smiled. It was refreshing talking to someone who did not know who I was, who did not want anything from me. Can I ask you something? I said. Sure. Do you believe people can change? Like, really change? She thought about it. I think people can choose to be better. Whether that is the same as changing, I do not know. But I think the choice matters. I nodded. Yeah, I think so too. I paid for the coffee and left. On the drive home, I thought about Sophie, about where she was now, about whether she regretted what she did, about whether she would ever choose to be better. I hoped she would, not for my sake, but for hers, and for whoever else crossed her path. But that was not my responsibility anymore. My responsibility was to keep moving forward, to keep playing, to keep living. That night, I called my mother. Hey, baby, she said. How are you? Good, I said. And for the first time in a long time, I meant it. I am really good. I am glad. I am proud of you, Marcus. You know that, right? I know, Mom. You have been through hell, and you came out stronger. That takes courage. I learned from the best. She laughed. You are sweet. Now go get some rest and eat a real meal. I will. I love you. I love you more. I hung up and sat on my balcony, looking out at the city lights. Somewhere out there, Sophie was starting over, building a new identity, finding a new target. But I was not thinking about her anymore. I was thinking about the kid who stood by the gate with the poster, about the fans who cheered for me even when the world turned against me, about my teammates who had my back, about my mother who never stopped believing. I was thinking about all the good that still existed in the world, the kindness that was real, the people who meant what they said. Sophie had tried to convince me that kindness was a weapon, that trust was a trap, that people only wanted something from you. But she was wrong. Kindness was still real. Trust was still possible. And some people, the right people, did not want anything from you except to see you succeed. I finished my coffee and went inside. Tomorrow I would start training for next season. I would work harder than ever. I would be smarter, stronger, faster. But I would also be kinder, more open, more willing to believe in people. Because Sophie did not get to decide who I was, I did. And I chose to be the person my mother raised me to be. The person who believed in second chances, who saw the good in people, who trusted even when it was hard. I chose to be Marcus Kane, not the victim, not the defendant, not the headline, just me. And that was enough.